Goddamn, another blackout? Man, I gotta stop doing whatever it is that's making me do this so much. Jennings? Help? Did you do this? Oh, what the shit? Where did my beard go? Maybe someone shaved it off me when I was unconscious? So glad these storylines are making so much sense and are totally not inconsistent. Speaking of inconsistencies, have you seen what J.K. Rowling has been up to recently? Even if you're not an active follower of hers, you'll probably see the bullshit surrounding her in the Harry Potter series. Ah yes, remember those classic books that overzealous Puritans used to burn in piles to show that magic is evil and the only acceptable magic is from their book of mumbo jumbo? Man, those were the days. Ah, what crazy irrational people. Oh, I mean, Harry Potter was a beloved series from my childhood that I remember quite fondly, and the movies of course included. But well, here we are once again complaining about someone with far more success and notoriety than any of us will ever dream of obtaining, but damn it, I'm still going to rant about this. Yes, it's true that J.K. Rowling has made a very successful series that will forever be remembered with both these variations. It was truly well earned and she worked hard to get where she is. However, in order to maintain relevancy in today's more PC culture, Miss Rowling has decided to add on a few extra things to characters that are quite frankly unnecessary. Let's talk about the current Dumbledore controversy that's taking storm, which I can't believe that's something that's happening right now. Supposed controversy over fictional characters that have been established for about, 21 years now? According to Wikipedia, in 2007, J.K. Rowling was asked by fans if the character of Albus Dumbledore ever found true love. Rowling said that she always thought of Dumbledore as being homosexual, and that he had fallen in love with Gellert Grindelwald, which was Dumbledore's great tragedy. Rowling did not explicitly state whether Grindelwald returned his affections. Rowling explains this further by elaborating on the motivations behind Dumbledore's flirtation with the idea of wizard domination of muggles. He lost his moral compass completely when he fell in love, and I think subsequently became very mistrustful of his own judgment in those matters, so became quite asexual. He led a celibate and a bookish life. So at first it sounds like she's saying that it's when he falls in love with another man is when he then internalizes and questions his moral compass, but it was more the ideas Grindelwald was whispering in Dumbledore's ear, the idea of being superior to another human being, in this case filthy muggles. Dumbledore never ever came across as a completely heart of gold character, even the author is aware of this despite her contradictions. He did very questionable things in order to obtain more power.
My brother sacrificed many things, Mr. Potter, on his journey to find power, including Mariana. And she was devoted to him. He gave her everything. But time.
He used and manipulated others in order to reach certain goals, and sure, to Harry he's been a noble guy, and that's because he's been looking through rose-colored glasses, a young student's perspective looking up to a wise mentor. But he was someone who was constantly left out of the loop about things. Maybe for his own good, sure, but still.
You've kept him alive so that he can die at the proper moment. You've been raising him like a pig for slaughter.
Don't tell me now that you've grown to care for the boy.
So on the surface he is the nice headmaster of Hogwarts, but he has done some messed up things on the side that might not make him all that inherently good. Also, can we talk about how she states that his morality was in question during his relationship with an asshole? Like, it's a little odd that it's that moment specifically, and oh, I don't know, when he accidentally had a hand in killing his own sister when shit hits the fan between him, his brother, and lover, even though it's left vague about him even returning the affections. J.K. Rowling stated in an interview that their relationship was incredibly intense. It was passionate, and it was a love relationship. But as happens in any relationship, gay or straight or whatever label we want to put on it, one never knows really what the other person is feeling. You can't know. You can believe you know. So I'm less interested in the sexual side, though I believe there is a sexual dimension to this relationship, than I am in the sense of the emotions they felt for each other, which ultimately is the most fascinating thing about all human relationship. Okay, so not that I really care either way what sexual preference any person or character has, but to make it sound so important now, when apparently one of them was just so standoffish about it in this world's context at the time, to now change it is a little annoying. Just to let you know though, to make such a fuss about this whole thing, to even be talking about it in such depth is pretty retarded, I must say. Since 1, the announcement of Dumbledore being gay has been years old at this point, and 2, this was a children's book that appealed to storytelling and imagination. I think regardless of the changes made by the author, you should still be able to enjoy many other things about it and not dwindle on the minutiae being inflated by other morons. It's not a big deal no matter how we look at it, nor should it ruin something from your childhood. That's always been a very drastic stance in my little opinion. But whatever happened to interpreting certain things in literature, leaving it up to the reader to think about? What we're talking about here is someone trying to coddle certain readers and fans to make sure everyone can get what they want. This idea that all works of media needing to have a checklist of diversity or have a duty to represent every single culture or type of person is just a ridiculous standard and expectation to thrust onto everything. It isn't the job of a book, movie, or game to cater to the whim of every human on the planet because it's a fool's errand thinking you can please everyone. The purpose has always been to entertain, to tell a story, to craft something different that you can enjoy, or at the very least just get you talking about it. If you don't enjoy it, then you can always move on to something that appeals to your sense of character as opposed to twisting whatever is already there to meet your stupid demands. Oh, sorry though, I'm being unreasonable and stupid as always, so I just need to shut my filthy mouth and go back into the shadows for another 2 to 3 months until I emerge once again to spout out more dribble. I'm just saying, J.K. Rowling has been doing this revisionist history with the Harry Potter franchise specifically because it's her most popular work, and she'd rather do this than to say she just didn't think about it at the time. Oh, but don't fret everyone, the beloved character of Anthony Goldstein is indeed Jewish. Good to know that. So once again, it's trivial information that doesn't exactly add nor detract to the person in question. Beautiful! Way to go in picking one of the most stereotypical last names for him and choosing to make him Jewish. Subtle! She's also hinted that she really likes the idea of Black Hermione more and has alluded that she very well could be if you want her to be. Remember that whole thing, by the way, when people were upset that a stage play, which is free to cast any actor or actress of any race or gender in whatever role they want them in, chose to cast a black actress? Man, how dare they? But let's not pretend that wasn't done to try and appease little PC babies out there.
My, they look very PC.
Wasn't that whole thing just stupid anyway? It's like, who cares? The story of the cursed child made fanfics look like they had more heart and soul put into them. At least with stage plays, you can appreciate set designs and the teamwork put into the execution, but what actually happens throughout it is pretty disappointing. But of course, we still need to consider a canon. Wait, what? How does that make any sense? There isn't an actual 8th official book, and the script to the play shouldn't count? Like, what are you talking about? Then that makes the whole Black Hermione thing even more confusing if Emma Watson aged into an old black woman. Much like with Fantastic Beasts, I can't exactly get into it either because of some things I have issues with. When the first one came out in theaters, I was surprisingly bored with it. Some of the animals in it were okay, others were very forgettable. It tried that old prequel trick of luring you in using things like the old theme to entice you, thinking it'll be more akin to the originals. Gee, reminds me of some other films that were inferior to the classics that tried to use the name to squeeze enough fucks out of fans to get them back in gear.
Again, it's like poetry.
It just isn't the same. Now, this still kinda acts like its own thing, sure. You get points from me for that, but to pretend it's as good or holds a candle to the previous works is just not true. While the Wizarding World is still very interesting and great to explore, certain plot points, characters, and the pacing especially can just throw it off. Take the sequel to the prequel that is the setup for another sequel prequel, The Crimes of Grindelwald. One problem people are having with it is Johnny Depp in the role as the villain. While I do enjoy Johnny Depp's performances, it's similar to when Will Smith is on the big screen.
There is a lot of gray area in Make Me a Prince. I could just make you a prince.
They've just been in so many things that you can't help but notice them and not so much the portrayal of the character in question, which can be somewhat distracting, not necessarily a bad thing mind you, but it's all for the fact that they just want to show off the famous actor. Johnny Depp's depiction of Grindelwald leaves more to be desired too, especially when he's mostly blank-faced, monotoned, and looking completely, utterly ridiculous. Again, J.K. Rowling's subtlety knows no bounds. Say what you will of Voldemort's aesthetic, but you do get used to it. He was very lively, and Ralph Fiennes is clearly having so much fucking fun being the Dark Lord. Johnny Depp comes across as someone just needing their next paycheck, and for a movie called The Crimes of Grindelwald, I expected to see more Grindelwald in it. I don't think him being in this universe is too much of a stretch though, considering Helena Bonham Carter being in this series before, and both of them have had countless movies where they've worked together. Not here specifically because of the timeline in the movies, but you get my point. To bring this back full circle, there's only vague hints of him and Dumbledore actually having their relationship, and that him and Grindelwald were as close as brothers. Oh, we were closer than brothers.
You and Grindelwald were as close as brothers.
Oh, we were closer than brothers.
The movie doesn't exactly focus on this or make it a big deal, so really it's more arbitrary if anything at the end of the day. They might explore it more with flashbacks to their past in the third installment, but who knows, they could also not do that. Clearly J.K. Rowling has several ideas she wished she implemented earlier on, but she's always been back and forth on things like this, from how she pronounces Voldemort, Voldemort? The T was silent this whole time maybe? To her wanting to change the ending of the book where Harry Potter ended up with Hermione instead of Ron. She says she always regretted that, so we'll probably see Hermione later on leave Ron for Harry so she can correct that little mistake that people didn't have an issue with. But honestly, if it bothers you that much, then don't let her nor anyone else take away what the work meant to you and the memories that you have with them. Continue going to events, buying merchandise, and celebrating the exciting things that make it timeless. Or you can just be cold and bitter at the world over a goddamn series that's years old. Either way, I'm not losing any sleep over it. Now, if you don't mind, this whole situation has bored me to the point of exhaustion. Until next time, everyone, thank you so much for watching. Tell me what you think down below, and I'll see you lovely folks later in my next video. There we go, finished with another video, and I got it out on April Fool's Day no less. Wait, hold on. Fuck.